Hey everyone, I wanted to do today a review about the Rokoko suit, which is a motion capture solution. It does not require cameras. It is priced at $2,500, and there's just not enough videos about this suit in particular, but also other motion capture solutions, especially Xsens. And I felt like I should just contribute my thoughts about it, my experience with buying this suit, and how it's applied to my own projects. I'm working on a Halo animation movie right now. So I've had a mixed history with this suit. So it starts back in the summer, or rather, I guess, fall of 2019. And I was using for a long time Kinma, or Orion, which basically could use, as you probably see right there, Vive. Like VR Vive, right? You could, I was just amazed back in 2018 when I realized that this technology existed, that you could put on Vive trackers, I think like one in your pelvis, two on your feet, two hand controllers, and even use the head mount display, although that sucks, so you can actually just use a tracker if you want. For $500 a year, you could have motion tracking with Vive. And I thought that was expensive before I started like upgrading and kind of thinking about different solutions. And well, what happened with me, which I never planned on doing this, it was a big fear of mine actually of ever having to do this, which was to upgrade or change solutions, because Akinma was bought by Apple. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting away from the point. Basically, I had to buy a suit. I did my research, I looked around a bunch, and I found Rokoko. And so Rokoko is essentially, I think what they said is that they're basically using what's found in your cell phone, and they have these little trackers, and these trackers basically track your X, Y, and Z rotation, movement, and whatever, right? And that can create as you can see right there, I think there's 19, I could be wrong about that, but they're all over the body. You can even wash the textile, knowing I probably should have washed mine because I've been rolling on the floor a lot. So yeah, you can wash the suit. It is really comfortable. I got the large, and it fits really well. And it at parts is a little loose, so you have straps here, Velcro straps. And as you can see, I'll just back away so you guys can see the whole suit. I was considering on putting it on, but I don't know, my data would probably be really weird. So the thing about this suit, so I messaged Rokoko, like I saw a review about Rokoko, and there's like only one review that I could find reviewing this suit. So I thought that maybe I could, give you guys a little bit of my opinion with my experience, and being someone that deeply cares about motion capture and making stories, telling stories, I thought that I would contribute. There's probably not many people can see this, but the people that do see it, I hope it helps you. So in October, I emailed Rokoko, and what alerted me about this company in the first place was they had just outstanding customer support. They would answer all your questions, everything, right? I mean, I just berated them with questions, and as I was told in a review that's something that they support, and putting down $2,500, that's, getting into like car money territory. So, you want to do your due diligence and find out if the suit's right for you. So, this suit, again, I have mixed history about, but they were very kind. They answered all my questions, and they shipped the suit off in like early October, I think. And they say this on their website, but I guess I got confused. It does take 3 weeks for it to ship. They say 2 weeks at the very least, but they guarantee 3 weeks. Last I've heard. So I don't know quite why that is the case. The same thing is with Xsens, but that's a different suit. That suit starts at $7,600, so it's much pricier than this one. As far as motion capture solutions go, this is realistically the cheapest option. There is also Vive, which I was talking about, which is only $500 a year plus the hardware, which you can even use for games too. So that's the cheapest option. So I was very comfortable with that. And then Akinma was bought up by Apple, and it's probably going to be shelved for, forever, for 8 years. So, but there's other there's one for Unreal Engine that can actually track your trackers and give you motion capture data that way, which I was looking into as a solution, but I decided to, yeah. This is interesting because when I got this suit, I was very shocked. Like, it was just an amazing experience putting on the suit and then stepping outside. And I started motion capture data recording in my backyard. So how it works is that there is a hub right here. It's very quick to set up. You get this really nice box, which mine has been like messed up at this point, but you get this suit, and then you have like this little hub unit back here on the rump of the device. And you got like a little power button, and you have a USB thing, which they include. It's like this nice red little wire, and it's a USB-C, so I think you can use any USB-C wire for it. But you plug that up to a 3.0, or even works on a 2.0. You configure the Wi-Fi settings, and I think what happens is that the data what happens is that when you put the suit on, you record and you walk around and do your takes and stuff, it sends this data to your Wi-Fi, and then it reroutes it back to your computer. I think that's how it works because it needs internet access. There's also an option. I don't know if they included their documentation, but I was not getting it working at first because the password they said was that it was connect 123, but it was actually just imagine, which is their slogan. So yeah, you hold that down for 3 seconds, and you can actually connect directly to your laptop if you're like at a gym or if you're outside and you want to record. The thing about that, however, is that it did not work for me. It was terrible, terrible, terrible data. And maybe I said too many terribles because at some points it was still possible. But like, for example, I went to the local gym, right? The local recreation center, which is a really cool idea, by the way, if you want to like have a big space to record motion capture data. Obviously, it's not possible at 5, but yeah, so if you record in a gym, I would advise you to use the Wi-Fi. Use the Wi-Fi at any chance you get, because I have a hunch that the online HubSpot, whatever, that you can connect to on your laptop as a Wi-Fi thing, it didn't work for me. I mean, it might work for some other people, but it never worked for me. And so I was having issues with this in my old house, and I was just like, this is, it's not working. So I was contemplating on sending the suit back. And I really wanted it to work, and at times I got good data, but it just wasn't great. So I sent it back, and because basically, even in my new place here, I was having this very strange issue with the left thigh and the left shin. So basically, I would, walk like this, but like this leg would just start going, like the rotation was off. When you put on this suit and before you start recording, your body's all like scrambled, it's all like mangled and stuff, right? Well, you got to do a calibration pose. So how you do a calibration pose is you put your, hands by your thigh, and you put your feet like 1 foot apart. There's like a whole thing about documentation about it. But when I did that, every time without fail, it would miss up. And it's actually kind of embarrassing on my part, because I realized that when I kept having this issue, I was still connected to the Smartsuit hub, as it's called. I was connected directly to this, and it was just not giving me good data. So I returned it to them. They couldn't figure out what it was. They offered me a refund past the refund point. So I'm really, really thankful that they did that. But I said, just send the suit back. I want this to work. I really want it to work. I don't want to have to go find another motion capture solution. I want to make my film. I just, I'll hand animate that left thigh if I have to. But I found it very strange. They kept saying it was magnetic, the magnetic seam, which I can understand, because right over here is the boiler room. So yeah, that would make sense why there's some magnetic issues. But that's the thing about this suit, is that it is very vulnerable to magnetic problems. Magneticity and metal. By the way, any metal can be considered magnetic. It just doesn't like metal. The problem with that is that unless you live in a wooden cabin in the middle of nowhere that also has great Wi-Fi that you can connect to directly, which those two things don't, I mean, you're going to get good internet in the middle of nowhere, the suit will run into issues. In my experience, other people, most customers with Rokoko are really happy with their product. So maybe I'm just, I have put so much thought into like making this work. Again, I sent it back. They said that there was no problem with it, that it was magnetic C, but I said just return it. So I realized that, I connected to my main computer, and that I connected to the internet, and I got much better results. But even then, I started having the leg issue again, and I had no idea why was I having this leg issue. And I just did like the most simple thing, which was the first time I fixed it was I just restarted my computer. And then the second time I fixed it is that one thing is that Rokoko, I think their company is set in Denmark. So they can't ship lithium batteries, which means that you have to get your own batteries. The one that I use, which I wondered, was that causing the magnetic interference? And it's a Vive battery, actually used for Vive Wireless. I just unplugged it. So what it does is on the very neck of the suit, like back here, you have a battery. That's where you put the battery pack. And I just unplugged it and then popped it back in. So that fixes it every time. And it's very strange. Now that I had that issue out of the way, there was still a handful of other issues. I had one where I was streaming. Actually, this still happens once in a while, where I'm streaming and then, I'm walking, for example, and then it freezes like this. 5 seconds passes, and then I'm over here doing something else, continuing the animation, and then it freezes again. Now, I have that same issue with iClone on my computer, and I'm starting to think that it has nothing to do with Rokoko. So, but I realized that a way to fix that is to start a new scene. If you have too many takes in one scene, that's what caused it for me. So, I've gone through so many issues with this, and tried my best to just figure out like solutions. And here's another one. When you import your animation into Blender, if you use AutoRig Pro, there's an issue where if you use Locomotion or Locomotion 2, which is basically, there's one that is called Locomotion 2.0, which I assume is the better one that, you can do pretty much everything in. You probably don't want to run and jump with. But then there's the Locomotion 1, which you can record jumping and doing a bunch of rapid movements with, which I'm sure you guys probably want to hear more about. So yeah, I have some good examples of that. But anyway, let me talk about that real quick. If you record in Locomotion 1 and then try to change it in 2 in post, that will potentially screw up your rig or your data. Though I haven't had the issue again. It only happened once, but don't do that. Decide if you want to record in 1 or 2 and don't change it. At least that's an error that I've noticed with some programs. Some programs may not like that. So, as far as issues, that's the thick of it. And I don't want this to be a negative review because this company has a lot of really great perks. They got free software. I mean, on Xsens, it's thousands of dollars a year, especially for pro software. It's a lot of cheese and or cheddar. And this company really does care about its customers. They're genuinely interested about what people are creating, what they're talking about, their product. They're very proud of it, and I think they're a small company. And they're growing, for indie devs that really are working on a budget. I think most of those people that want to do motion capture, this is like the first accessible thing. Because Xsens, their cheapest suit is at $7,600 something or $7,300. I don't think if you have the dongle or whatever, but that is a lot of money. It's free for the first year, but then after that, they want thousands of dollars for the software. This software is free. My problem that I was talking about in the beginning of this video, Akinma or Orion, when they went out of business, in a way, I could say that I got screwed over because I could have invested all that money, which I did, into investing in that motion capture solution. And I really haven't been able to find software that is as good. There's that Unreal plugin, but you know, it doesn't quite capture the algorithm. You probably need full trackers. You need like a good 8-10 trackers to track your body movement so it doesn't fill in the gaps. Aikimo is really going to fill in the gaps. Filling in the gaps about this thing though, I have been able to make scenes with it. I have used it for its intended purpose, but I've actually, it's kind of upsetting to say because I really love this company, but if I'm going to make a review and be honest about it, putting my personal feelings aside for the company and the people that made this, the suit really, the pelvis tracking is just, it's not great. It spins you around at times, and I've had to do so much cleanup, and it's a little bit disappointing because and really frustrating actually, and that's why I'm having to buy another suit because I mean, while it can capture data really well, it just, you know, there's something about it that just makes it move back and forth, and that might be because I'm near the boiler room. But then again, you know, I've also tested it in my old house. I had similar issues, and I've had tests outside. I've walked around the street, still issues, and really I've given this thing as many chances as I possibly have. I've been as fair to it as I possibly can be, I think, at this point. But and it feels so comfortable, you know. I don't even want to get rid of it because it feels so comfortable. And the headband, I don't know how they made this headband so comfortable. It's so tight, but it's so not restricting like the blood flow in your head. I mean, it's just so really, if you're interested in buying a motion capture suit, or specifically this one, Rokoko, which is probably how people found this video, remember it is $2,500, right? So and another big, actually, and I feel like I'm talking too much about the negatives here, but they are in Denmark. So if you need to repair your suit, they say that they would pay for shipping and stuff, but it's 3 weeks to send it there, you know, unless you do expedited shipping, which I don't know if they pay for. I just felt bad for even asking for a shipping refund on that. But yeah, I mean, that was money. That was $300 from where I live in the US. So it's quite pricey if you're trying to send the suit back for repair or something. But then again, you could ask for refund, and I didn't. But yeah, so I'm just trying to think about anything else I need to talk about. Like the data, of course, you guys probably want to talk about the data. When I'm on the floor, it is very weird. It starts getting very weird when I get on the floor. If I'm like laying on my back, what happens is that, let's say that this is like the recording stage, right? You like sit down and then it bounces and it flies way across the 3D thing until you stand back up. In some cases, I've had entire takes ruined because my guy's just falling infinitely down into like, how am I supposed to do that? In order to do that, because it moves on a pelvis base. So that means that the where it is in a 3D space is at the pelvis, which is, I think, how every motion capture thing's recorded, so no fault of their own. But if I want to get rid of that guy flying 1,000 miles away, what I have to do is I have to delete all the pelvis data, so my guy will start moving like this. Like a robot, like something's broken. What do I have to do? I have to go in there and hand animate it. Either way, I'm wasted time. So yeah, that is one thing that has really irked me. It's kind of disappointed me because that's something I couldn't do with 5. When I got down on the floor, my body would start, you know, jittering. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. But if you're looking to buy this suit, my word to you is figure out how much metal is around you first. I literally got a magnetic detector. They're like $20. I forgot what they're called, but if you just look up magnetic detector, you'll be able to find it. They're used a lot in construction. So yeah, if you can find out how much metal is around you. And also never use a Smartsuit hub. In my experience, I've used it literally across the country, and it's not worked here, it hasn't worked over there. So don't use that. My final verdict on the suit is that it is very comfy. It is very comfy. And it's very breathable. So if you're doing action scenes, there's actually like little holes. They got these sportswear. It's literally $400 if you wanted to buy a new one. They have it on the site for just the textile. But this will capture data. It'll capture good data. And keep in mind, you get what you pay for. $2,500 is a lot of money, but it is actually dirt cheap for a motion capture suit. And I would not want to say that this is a bad suit, but I'm saying it's sort of a gamble. Now, again, could be magnets, metal. I've been near a lot of metal when I've recorded. I did walk in a park with no metal at all, but I was also connected to the Smartsuit hub. They suggest that there's a wireless router that you can connect to, that you could buy one of those. I don't know if I want to mess with that. And I question how practical that really is if you need someone walking around with a router and a laptop. Will that even capture good data, especially when you come near metal? My big hope for Rokoko is that they do whatever that Xsense has done. This is without me receiving the Xsense suit. Hopefully Xsense does not have the same problem, because that is a lot of money. But as I've shown, this does at times really give great data. My big request for Rokoko as a company and for the engineers that brilliantly invented this suit is to just take it a step further, do whatever you have to do to make this more magnetic proof. Because that is really the Achilles heel on this suit, is metal. And for the life of me, at times, I could not find out what was the metal. And I questioned, they kept telling me it was the magnetic in it, and I was like, I don't really think so, because I didn't have these issues like, a week ago in my other place with lots of metal, and now I'm having them. But once I unplugged the suit, I didn't have any magnetic issues at that point. So questions like, I just wonder what is going on with this technology and magnetics and magnets, metal. Why is it interfering in such a bizarre, weird way, if that's the case? But as far as arm movement, I have almost every time got perfect data from the arm movement. And actually, speaking of which, probably from up here, from the rib cage and above, has almost always been great. I notice when I sit down in my chair, my body starts moving and, kind of turning in on itself, like the legs crossing. I can't believe I haven't talked about that yet. The legs crossing is just crazy. That was a crazy, annoying issue, and it tends to happen more often than I would like to say. I love this company. I love Rokoko. I love the people. They have all been very helpful, very kind to me, and have offered refunds past the refund date. They have a 30-day refund. But again, it goes a long way when you have a company that cares about their own product. And it means so much to me as a consumer and someone that likes doing things, animation as a hobby, to have someone that has your back, that will always answer your emails, that will always do their best to take care of you. I also, if there was another thing I could ask of Rokoko, is try to be more thorough. There is a massive spider that just landed, and I have no idea what I'm gonna do with that thing. I'm just gonna... Well, all right. So there's my Rokoko review. I hope you guys enjoyed and found the video helpful. I got a mess to clean up.